Hello and welcome to the post-match review after a somewhat chaotic end, but a very deserved win 2-1 in the Europa League against Rangers. It was an interesting game overall. I think I'm actually quite happy with it. Overall, one of our best performances, certainly in a little while. Not better than Liverpool and these types of games, but a good performance in general. I think that tactically, control wise, eh, they were a lot better. The positions everybody was taking, the way that we were staying, the way that we defended, the way that we kept control of the game was for me much better than we've seen, and I think you could see that pretty easily. In the stats overall when you take a look at it. I mean, start to finish, United pretty much dominated the depth of the game in terms of controlling it. We don't always see that, but we want to see that more and more of that. I think it's worth mentioning, as always, that again, we have a goal chalked off right here. And it's nonsense that that goal is chalked off, and it certainly changes, the lay of the game. Everything that happens after that is still real, but still, it's like how many goals do you have to score? We could have finished better and we had that goal chalked off. But I thought, again, we pretty much dominated the whole game. Their goal came out of nothing. Um, as much more of a foul than the one that we got ours chalked off for. So I'm fine if it's not a foul because it's not, but neither was ours. So it should have been at worst at that point 2-0. Um, we'll go into the players in a minute, but again, dominating the control, keeping them where we wanted to keep them. You look at the overall stats, 67% possession. Look at the amount of expected goals created, 1.42 for them. It even should be noted here, by the way, that two things. Number one, the goal we did score, because it was a foul, doesn't count for this, which was probably about a 0.7, 0.6 chance. So we certainly created enough chances. There's no doubt about that. We certainly created enough chances. One of their best chances was offside and would have been offside if they'd scored. Realistically, when you look at it on balance, we probably had 3.5 to 1 on the expected goals. One of their good chances came off an early mistake from Collier. That's fine. We'll talk about him in a minute. I think he had a decent game. Um, but either way, dominated control. We created way more than enough to win this game. Double the passes. Just we had it. We had it. I mean, you look at the shots that have been taken comparatively. This is good. This is what you want to see. This is better, much better in terms of the positioning. They get an own goal, and we get the late finish from Bruno. So yeah, good shots. Um, in general, we got a lot more shots, 13 inside the box, which is very, very good. The concentration of play, you can see we had it in the right places, missed big chances, missed lots more touches in the penalty area, a lot of good things. Where the ball was very good. Final third entries was huge. Overall, a good game. I mean, just a good game from us overall. What we'd want to see out of this team. The press was good. We kept the ball high. So much of it was better. You'll notice here something that stands out, and this is a little bit complicated to sort through. It's not the prettiest looking at this point in time, but part of that is because there was a couple of changes in the team that throw it off a little bit. But I said previously that one of the complaints with Amram that he's had, where people are going, "Oh, the 5-3-2, it's not going to work. The 5-2-3 keeps going to a five at the back. Oh my God, what are we doing?" Does that look like a five at the back to you? The reason that was happening is just purely personnel based. Um, the player's natural instinct was to drop in to the defense too early, and that put us under pressure. It allowed players to attack us more and not pin them back. If you look at what this has done by keeping these fullbacks extremely high, here's your fullback, Amad Diallo. Now, Diallo, it's thrown off because he played right center back in the second half, but this is where he was. Um, it keeps them pinned. You see that? They don't get their outlets, and you end up being able to pin them because they're being forced back into defending with numbers, and so you're not getting people running at your center backs one on one. That lets Euro sit high, Delict sit high, Lissandro sit high, Collier where he should be. Bruno moved into the front three in the second half, but in the first half he was about here. That's where you'd want him. Xerxes' positioning was a little deep as it would be. Um, I want to talk about the front three a little bit though. Ahmad was obviously way up there. That's what you want from him in the attacking zones and all of that. Um, for me, there's two issues here with this balance, and I thought the balance in the front three was kind of poor in the first half, especially. It got better in the second half, but there's still some issues with it overall. In the first half, Eriksson was not really putting in the work to make these vertical runs beyond that you want from the 10 so that your fullback can find him. When was it that created that? There was a moment in the second half where this happens, which leads to I think one of our chances. And right after the start of the first half, after the start of the second half, excuse me, it went really well. Eriksson made a few more of these runs, interplay with Ahmad. We got some corners, and I think that actually led to when we got the own goal and scored. So that movement was a little bit better there. Garnacho tends to sit really, really wide in this system. This is part of the talk about him not necessarily fitting. You would notice on the substitutions that came in that Tyrell Malacia was there, but if you watch the game again out of possession, he's constantly inverting inside of Garnacho rather than the other way around, and it was really the same for Diogo Dalot in the first half. It's really wide. It's really, really wide for a winger, for one of the forwards in this position. It's tricky because it's not really how we play. I still wonder why not wing back for him? Why not wing back for him and play a forward in this position so he can be the wide man? There's a lot of times in the second half he's sitting nearly on the touch line, and so there's nowhere to overlap around him. Again, he doesn't really pass to the overlapping player ever anyway, but still, um, it's a little bit imbalanced, and I think in the first half, especially between Eriksson, Xerxes, Garnacho, and then Dallo, I think was pretty poor in there. We just weren't getting the balance right between all of them on the attack, and I think that's where we continue to struggle more than anything else. Is just how do we balance the front three together with the profiles that we have. With Xerxes kind of must have been updating something. With Xerxes dropping in, I would prefer to see, narrow players making these vertical runs beyond him. And I think that would fit a lot better and have your wingback. Because remember, Ahmad is a wingback. Look at how wide he's playing. He's essentially doing the same thing as Garnacho. That's a little bit backwards in terms of the balance. If you're going to do this, you should be at a wingback. And then you should have someone running inside so that they can make these runs beyond. Because why? Well, what's happening? Garnacho's receiving the ball in these positions. He's cutting inside, same as Ahmad, but with one major difference. And it's the same thing that I didn't like out of Eriksson in the first half. He wasn't making the runs beyond where this player can cut in and then you can pass it to them and, pass it beyond them through the lines. When Garnacho comes in, because he's going from so wide, he's not the wingback. There's nobody to make this attacking run here. So it's always one-on-one, 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 and not much else. And so it's a little bit of an issue of balance because you want these 10s making attacking runs. With Bruno, I thought that he was kind of mediocre in the first half, but the best movement that we made was when he was over here with Ahmad, and rather than Ahmad just driving in, isolating, and shooting, uh, there was interplay and that kind of chipped ball over to Ahmad. The end goal comes off when Bruno moves into the front three in the second half, where I thought he was really good. I think Bruno has been so much better in the front three as of late. I give him huge criticism before, as everybody knows if you watch me. but I've given him big praise recently for his performances in the front three, and today was another one like that. The more forward he moved into the front three and out of the pivot, I thought he was exceptional. And what happens again? It's that run. That's the run when he scores that winning goal. It's the run you want from your tens. Why you don't want them sitting on the touch line in this system. You want them playing off the striker, making that run in behind because you're forcing the defense to go one on one everywhere, and you're finding the gaps. He makes a perfect run to the back post. Lissandro with a perfect cross into him, and it's a goal, and we win. Thankfully. So this is where I have these questions over fit and things. I see Bruno doing amazing things recently in the front three. I question the fit still in how we're putting it all together, that we'd be better with more runners in the three. When we look at the players overall, again, Xerxes did not get involved very much in the game in the final third, especially. Um, I think that again, it was an issue of selfishness in the team uh, from a couple of players in specific. I think Ahmad very much today was a bit too selfish. But the thing is, I know he can score out of nothing, right? And so we know he's got that end product, but I thought he could have done better today. He wasn't shooting the ball so much as dribbling and losing it. So I talk about him first. The best chance he has, this is 0.41 XG, the best chance he has, this was the pass from Bruno to him, where they did some little interplay. Bruno chips it over, nearly similar to that goal he scored the other week from Eriksson, and he almost scores it. That is beautiful. The other times when he's driving in, he's kind of been driving into traffic. His passing was fine, but you can see inaccurate on the crosses, lost it probably too many times. So dribbling into the channel and just losing the ball too much, head down, looking for the shot. I think it was a little bit too selfish from him today. And then there was the moment he received it way on the break. Xerxes here, 2-on-1, but he just launches it with his first touch into the crowd. Not a fan of that. Got to do better there. I thought Lenny Yoro had a very good game. Very, very solid game. Much better, much improved. Good passing, good everything. The back three were all actually quite good. Similar games from all of them. Some decent passing, actual attempts at switches, things like that. Lissandro had an exceptional game as well. The one moment they almost scored, but it was off. Lissandro let his guy behind him, but it was offside. So I think Lissandro did the right thing in that instance. India had a very, very good game too. Maguire came on, put in some big switches and good play. He was done on that goal. He's just got to do better on it. There's a lot that he does in possession that makes a huge difference and helped us push on for the win there. But he did get done on that goal, just an error. Maybe he doesn't make that if he's starting. I don't know. Dallo moved to right center back at a certain point. I thought he was okay there, but just I don't know. It continues to be semi-mediocre on the front with Dallo. Bruno again, I thought in the first half it was kind of poor. He made a really good chance for Ahmad even still, but he continues to operate really well as he gets into the forward positions. In the first half, what was frustrating me is towards the end, he was constantly just launching the ball and we kept losing it and, couldn't sustain our attacks, which tends to do a little bit when he plays deeper. When he plays more forward, he's been much more disciplined. I like it. He was great in the second half and won us the game, deservedly so, showed up when it matters. Really, really, really happy with that. Eriksson, I thought, was kind of poor in the first half. His movement wasn't there. A lot of it wasn't there. But the second half, for like this 20-minute stretch, he was really good, where he was making those runs, where he was making the vertical runs for Ahmad that helped us really create some more good chances. So it's just a matter of he's not necessarily the right guy. He's got the right ideas. He's obviously a great player, but the legs and all of that. Garnacho, I always worry about sharing my opinion on Garnacho. I thought it was a pretty poor game from him. It's really interesting to see the variances in people's opinions on this, though. You have people hyping it up like it was an amazing game, and then you have people like myself who don't think it was. And I understand both sides of the argument on this. With Garnacho, you get usually people saying he's the only one making something happen. I don't agree with that. I think one of the biggest problems that we have in our team is this. It's head loss. We get to the final third and it's like shoot, 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 shoot. Every time you see the goal, shoot. And he's not a good shooter. You got to know your limitations. You know, you look at it and it's like get in there and shoot. The one shot he had in really good position when hitting the post was a cutback from I believe Ahmad, where he receives it right here. But then he doesn't score. You got to score those chances if you're gonna get them. If you're a top tier shooter, if you're a Mo Salah, you know, and Ahmad justifiably because he scored a lot of goals like this season, then you know you can forgive it a little. But I made the same critique of Ahmad today that he was too selfish, head down. When Garnacho gets it, it tends to be the same thing. Get it, dribble in and shoot. And let's not forget who's against today, which was Tavernier on the right back side. Okay, um, but you know you can do that at times. It's not enough. We need to look for the pass more. We need to pass up the bad opportunity or the okay chance for the better chance. I look at Bruno on this front and I look and I say, you know, he takes this pot shot at 18 minutes, but then look, he doesn't shoot for the rest of the game. He only takes 2 shots. Very different from him. The best chance he made for Ahmad, he passed up his shot and made a better pass to him. This is something that has changed in his game, and these are great opportunities, the ones he gets. So he, you know, it's about playing within the team more. It's about playing within the team more. Good teams settle in control and possession, and they don't turn it over quickly. You don't have to rush. It's we've played this way for so long that it's hard to get out of it. The thing is, if you're an excellent goal scorer and you have a great shot, great power, great conversion rate, then fine. You get in these opportunities where you find the space, you shoot. But these aren't the chances for me. This is to me, this isn't development. This isn't growth. This is where I say he's got to learn a lot to fit because sitting in these wide areas running horizontally to cut in and shoot is not the game that we want out of our 10s. That's not what we're looking for. We want them being more vertical. We want them more interplay in the box. So I understand maybe people you'll watch this and think it's an agenda or whatever. It doesn't matter to me. It's not what I want out of the 10. It's not what I don't believe that fits the team that well. If you're scoring those chances, it's different, but you have to score them. If you're not a great shooter, then those become detrimental to the team because they're mostly wasted opportunities that go straight into the goalkeeper's hands or they go out for goal kicks and you lose control and possession. One of the things that we've got to learn and be okay with in general and like I said, this was my huge critique of Bruno. This isn't personal. It's not picking on somebody. My huge critique of Bruno is he was doing exactly that, you know, constantly. Rushing at the first opportunity. And he admitted himself he'd been playing like shit. He'd been playing awful until recently. He slows the game down. You'll notice that he's carrying the ball through the midfield more. He's slowing it down. He's looking for the better pass, not the first pass, not the first shot, but the better play. And I'm surprised because I honestly did not think Bruno would have the growth to do that. For, you know, Garnacho, you know, we'll see. Like I said, though, but the thing is that um, if, like I said, at the situation as it were, though, is that Amarim thinks would like to see him grow into the role, would like to see him be able to adjust his game. The club don't want to sell him, but I don't know. I don't get sentimental about it. If he wants to leave and he's chatting to other clubs and he doesn't think he fits and he wants to take a different role, you sell. I think I think again he as an impact player his skill set is very very good, and I'd like to see him play as a substitute more, at least for a while. I also have said many times I much prefer his game on the right because I think when he's on the right, he's forced to think about the game a bit more and do more with it. When he's on the left, it's the same thing every single game. It's the same movement every time he's on the ball. And again, the fullback may as well not exist. I don't think he ever passes to the fullback. So he's not a bad player in the slightest. Garnacho is a good player. I would like to have him as depth. I would like him to be a sub in this team. I would like him to. I think he'd be a very good sub in this team. But if you get a 60 million pounds offer, it makes sense why you would want to sell at that point in time. You know, I would like him to be a sub in this team, us to get another striker and forward in, and he can be rotation and he can be an impact sub and things like that with his skill set, and see if he can grow into more, especially with finishing and things like that too. I would like him to do that more. Um, but if you get 60 million, then you're better served selling and buying a more impactful starting level player. But, it's debatable. There's obviously going to split opinion on this. United don't want to sell him, and Amram doesn't want to lose him. I understand why, and I actually would agree with that in general. Like, if money wasn't an issue, but, it's all about values. It's like, it's all about putting the price tag. I think 60 million pounds, you can improve the team more than you would by keeping him. That's all that there is. But if he didn't want to go and he wasn't talking to other clubs, it would be a totally different issue, a totally different discussion. I'd have a totally different view on that myself as well. That is a big factor in all of this to me, and it should be. But I think that you can find players who fit in that 10 role more. Part of my concern is you take that Patrick Dorgu, right? And you're going to spend 32 million potentially on this very attacking, fast, physical, offensive fullback. The worst aspect of Garnacho's game is he doesn't play with his fullback ever. He ignores them. They overlap. He doesn't pass to them. He stays wide and forces them to go inside. Well, you're buying a left-footed fullback specifically because you want someone to balance the team out. That's a concern to me. That is a concern to me. But obviously, I think long-term Bruno is going to be playing in this position anyway. But either way, I understand. I'm trying to be very balanced on this. I know it's going to split opinions, and I know that people have lots on it, but at the end of the day, it comes down to, I still see the issues with the fit. I think he's a good substitute that I'd rather stay, but if someone pays 60 million, I think you could improve the team with that, especially considering he wants to potentially leave and he's the one exploring those moves. So it is what it is. Overall, though, I'm very encouraged with the whole setup. The biggest thing that I noted today is the impetus of the fullback staying higher. Even Dallo in buildup was staying much, much higher, not dropping off into the back three and putting the team under pressure. Um, that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing that seems to be a major focus today in how we played, that where it doesn't fall into that 5-3-2 type, 5-2-3 type of thing anymore. And we got to rotate a lot. I mean, Maguire got to come on as a sub. He'll start the next game since potentially De Ligt maybe had a little tweak. Yoro maybe had a little tweak, but he seemed okay. Maguire got rest. Ugarte and Mainu got rest, which is really good. And potentially Mazraoui wasn't in. He was rested, but hopefully he'll be back in the squad. But yeah, it gives us maybe some rest because the midfield was ragged in previous games leading up to this, so that's good as well. Either way, good game, good performance. Just looking quickly at the table, it puts us in fourth. 0 losses in the Europa League. That's very good. 15 points. We play the 8th place team next. If we can get a point here, 16, then we should stay out of the extra knockout rounds. If a point or a win, we should be fine. And that would be very, very good. So, yeah, good stuff. Especially with some of the matches that are ongoing. I think that's all we need is 1 point technically. So it'd be good to avoid that extra game, no doubt about that. Okay, that's what I have. I'll be back in the morning and doing some more stuff tomorrow, and then we will be yeah, and then we'll go from there. But better game for me today. Lots to come in terms of Dorgu, the Garnacho situation. We'll see what happens with that Chelsea bid and everything else, and what United do in the last few days of the January market. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the game. Back tomorrow. We'll hope for a big game on Sunday against Fulham, which will probably be a little bit tougher. Have a good one.